Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where OP disowns her son over an extremely cruel prank. Am I the butthole for sending our son away after he revealed to his sister's friends that she has dentures? My husband and I have a 14-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old son. When our daughter was 8, she developed a very rare mouth infection that just absolutely devastated her teeth and gums. She ended up losing all of her teeth and had to have some corrective work done just so that she could have regular dentures. Obviously, this was very traumatic for her, and she's still in therapy to help cope to this day. Our daughter is understandably very self-conscious about this. None of her friends knew about this. In fact, nobody besides her doctor and dentist know about this outside the family. She doesn't want people to know. She's very worried about people finding out and won't even take her teeth out in front of the rest of us because she's worried someone will see. Her and her brother had a good relationship until he did what he did last week. He somehow recorded her taking out her teeth without her noticing and then showed all of her friends when they were over. Oh my god. Not only have her friends all turned on her, but now half the school is teasing her nonstop. She even had to change her phone number because dozens of kids were texting her the most vile things imaginable. I have never been more ashamed of one of my kids until that moment. I don't know where we went wrong raising him, but apparently he thought that it would be funny. After I kicked out her friends who were mocking her and helped her through a panic attack, I called my father to pick up my son, and I told him to pack his bags and get the F out. He's been staying with my parents 2 towns over. They didn't learn what happened until 2 days ago. The issue came up because my parents driving him to school was becoming a hassle, and they wanted to know what was up. When I explained, they were disgusted, but they still wanted to know when they could bring him home. I asked them if they would register him for a school in their town, and they agreed, but were shocked. My husband and I talked, but we just can't have him here. My sister hates him. We're so ashamed that we can't even think of calling him. It sounds awful, but I don't think our relationship can ever recover from this, and maybe this is what he needs. No friends, no family aside from his grandparents. Having to start over might just set him right. My parents are willing to keep him until he's 18, but I think that we're too emotionally charged to be making this decision right now. Am I the butthole for causing family drama over a swimming pool? So I know from experience that Reddit isn't the most understanding towards parents of young kids, but I really just want a third-party opinion because the situation is driving me crazy and my family is saying that I need to get over it. I'm a 30-year-old woman who lives with my partner and our 2 kids, ages 7 and 3. My older sister Ava, who's 30, and her husband recently purchased a house in the local area. It's a super nice place with a big yard, and as you can probably guess from the title, it has a swimming pool. Ava recently hosted a barbecue at her place. It wasn't a huge event. She invited me, our parents, and our other siblings. She mentioned letting the kids play in the pool, so I only assumed that my kids would get to be included. We're potty training though, so my youngest is still in diapers at the moment. At the barbecue, I was getting my youngest child ready for the pool by changing him into a swim diaper. Ava pulled me aside and told me that she doesn't think it's hygienic for my youngest to play in the pool since swim diapers don't hold pee. And she asked that he doesn't swim in the pool with the other kids playing in it. I don't think this was fair, and I told Ava that lots of people, adults and kids, pee in the pool. And it would be no different at a public pool, so what's the problem? She was being really condescending and wouldn't listen to me at all and said that he can play in the pool when he's toilet trained and said it's not fair to the other kids. At this point, my son was crying because he wanted to swim in the pool, and I told Ava that she was being cold, but it's her house and her pool, so do what you want. Ava accused me of trying to guilt trip her and told me to just drop it. I was getting upset myself at this point, and I told our parents and other siblings about what Ava did. They told me it's not a big deal and that it's not worth arguing with her over, and try not to let it bother me. I wasn't happy with this because this essentially means they're siding with her and downplaying how she treated me and my son. I left the barbecue early with my family because we didn't feel welcome after that. The next day, Ava messaged me whole paragraphs and said that she was sorry that I'm upset and that she wasn't trying to exclude my son for the sake of it. It was a super non-apology, and I told her that I don't want to hear it, and that she's damaged her relationship with her nephew, and she's not the one who had to deal with him being upset. Ava snapped at me out of nowhere and said that I'm being dramatic. I told her to grow up and said that I have a very valid reason to be mad, and that she needs to stop acting like a teenager. Ava showed these messages to everyone, and everything's just a bit up in the air. I feel like I'm right here, but the rest of my family doesn't seem to agree. OP, her house, her rules. Super simple. If you had a pool, you could impose any rules you want to on the pool, but it's not your pool, so it's not your rules. You're definitely the butthole here, OP. And to be clear, this is coming from a parent of a young child. OP, I'm giving you 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. However, I will say, a lot of people are saying that Ava here is not the butthole. I actually disagree with that. You can't invite the entire family and tell everyone that kids are allowed to play in the pool, and then when people get there, with sunscreen on and swimsuits on, and be like, oh, all the kids can play in the pool except for that one person right there. You, little kid, you can't come. That's just mean, man. If you're gonna impose the rule that unpotty trained kids can't be in the pool, fine, but you at least have to tell them that in the invite. You can't say, all kids can come play in the pool, and then when they get there, drop the bomb on them, because of course there's going to be tears and hurt feelings that way. Of course there will. So, OP's a bad guest who gets 1.5 out of 5 buttholes, and Ava is a bad aunt who gets 0.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for not attending my graduation party and telling everyone why when they asked? My family hasn't celebrated anything to do with me since I was 12 years old. My dad and his new wife had a baby that year, and I was kind of forgotten about. I would get birthday presents and such, but no party or anything. I got used to it and started a tradition of celebrating with my friends. We would go see movies or whatever. One of my friends' mom found out and started making me a cake every year for my birthday. When I graduated from high school, I had saved up enough money to go on a week-long vacation in New York City with my best friend and her mom to see Hadestown. I just recently finished university and I'm starting my new job right away. I guess my dad had planned a big party for me as a surprise, but I didn't show up because I went out with my friends instead. When the rest of my family started asking me why I didn't show up after my father had gone through all that effort for me, I explained that he hadn't celebrated anything of mine in 10 years, and I didn't know that he had planned to do it this time. He told everyone I was lying, so I asked him to post any pictures he had from my birthday parties, extracurricular activities, or my high school graduation. He obviously couldn't, so everyone started dumping on him. Now he's mad for talking about private family matters. I'm just gonna go over there and pick up a few things I've left in that house and just move to my new city without dealing with this anymore. Am I the butthole? OP, how dare you tell everyone that your terrible father is a terrible father? Don't you know that you have a sacred responsibility to suck up to your father and make him look good despite the fact that he's a deadbeat loser? OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your loser father 4 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for answering a rude question with a rude question? I'm a happily married gay man, and yesterday my husband and I were at a friend's house celebrating their birthday. At the end of the party, a small group of people were sitting around the fire talking when a woman who I don't know asked me and my husband straight to our faces, "So, do you like being f***ed up the butt, or is it your husband?" And before you ask, no, she wasn't drunk. She was the designated driver. So I replied, "Do you like to f*** on all fours or on your back?" What? She got mad and stormed off calling me a prick. At the time, everyone laughed. Most were drunk. But the woman was my friend's girlfriend's relative or something, and now he and his girlfriend are getting some backlash. He's mad at me now because even though what she said was offensive, I didn't need to stoop to her level. I'm starting to feel bad about it. The last thing I wanted was to cause trouble for my friend. So, am I the butthole? Yeah, you did stoop to her level, but so? She was rude and homophobic, and you made a really good point. That question's super inappropriate, so honestly, the question that you asked was less inappropriate than the question that she asked, and she got all upset about it and stormed off. OP, you get an easy bill of health here, 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving the rude woman 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for yelling at my brother's pregnant girlfriend and kicking them both out of my house after she threw away my food? I'm a 27-year-old guy who lives alone. My brother who's 21 and his girlfriend who's 19 still live with our parents because they can't afford a place of their own. His girlfriend is currently 4 months pregnant. My brother asked to bring his girlfriend over for dinner to catch up, and I said, sure, why not? However, the moment that she entered my house, she started complaining about the smell of the steak that I was making and said the smell alone makes her nauseous and she can't eat this. I tried to suggest an alternative, but she was dead set on Chinese food and ended up sending my brother to the nearest mall in order to get her some. I thought that would be the end of it, but after going to the bathroom and coming back, I caught her throwing my unfinished steak into the garbage. I asked her what the hell she was doing, and she said the smell was so strong she thought that she would end up throwing up on the floor, and she had to get rid of it and started spraying perfume from her purse in my kitchen. I was beyond furious at this point and sent her back to the living room. And after my brother came back from the mall, I kicked them both out with their Chinese food. My brother tried to convince me to let them back in and that I could make something else for the two of us, and his girlfriend was pretty much sobbing at this point. But I was dead set on kicking them both out. However, my parents ended up getting mad at me for apparently causing so much distress to my brother's pregnant girlfriend. I told them that she literally threw away my dinner, but they said that I shouldn't have yelled at her or kicked them out because she's just a teenager who's now getting influenced by her pregnancy hormones, and that my outburst also caused problems in their relationship because she ended up sending my brother to sleep on the couch that night, even though my brother literally defended her against me. Am I the butthole for apparently not having enough tact to deal with a pregnant teenager? Okay, pretty simple situation here. Being pregnant and being a teenager and being a pregnant teenager does not excuse you from being polite when you're in someone else's home. If she was feeling nauseous, she could have left the kitchen or stepped outside for some fresh air or left and gone home. Not throw away your dinner that you purchased and cooked and were looking forward to eating. Also, the fact that she made your brother sleep on the couch for something that was 0% his fault is another red flag here. My guess, OP, is that your brother's girlfriend is just a bad, entitled person, and unfortunately, you're gonna have to deal with her drama for the rest of your life. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm also giving your brother 0 out of 5 buttholes because it seems like he handled the situation pretty much perfectly. But unfortunately, he has a terrible girlfriend who gets, I think, 2 out of 5 buttholes. That was rSlash Am I the Butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.